Palms, 1025.
So your default for overpass on a CT side, typically you want two people going towards mid A here, one going towards connector and one going towards bathroom and long. These two players will be playing for information. The connector player will be able to tell them if you're pushing connector and fountain, because you will have audio cues, while the long player slash bathroom player will be here peeking long, and if they're not there, he's covering this position here so they can't rotate down connector and they can't push past here. There's a bit of a crossfire here between connector and bathroom. As you can see, you can crouch here and peek party, and if you can see them pushing up from fountain, you can fall back, lure them into a bit of a trap here where you can get a bit of a crossfire going. If this bathroom player peeks off the contact of the con player can re-peek and you can be fighting. Another way to play mid here is with a scout or an op, and you can go for picks, fall back, come to divider, take a pick, fall back, come to bathroom here, entrance, and take a pick and fall back, and then you're falling back to dice and you're trying to hold sight while your team rotates back from B. Now, speaking of the B players, typically you want 3 people going towards B. You're going to have a monster player who's going to be barrels or water here, and he's going to be trying to control monster as best he can. You're going to have an A rotator, or a AB rotator. He's going to be up here in heaven, and you're going to have a short player. Now, your monster player is going to be in charge of mollying this at the start of the round. Your short player is going to be in charge of mollying this at the start of the round. Your heaven player can throw a grenade that breaks open the connector door. If he literally just looks here, runs, that blows open the connector door. If you and your other B player decide to, or the heaven player even comes down and assists, you can boost here, and when you're boosted in this spot, you have connector and short overwatch. At the same time, whether it's the heaven player or the barrels player, he'll be watching towards monster while you're still watching short. But that being said, with 3 of you on B, this player can take control of monster, so you don't have to worry about it. He can smoke it off, he can flash it out, he can do a lot of utility here to take this space, while your 2 B players here have short control. You can fight for short here in this scenario, especially if you have your connector player. If you're communicating together, you can say, oh, they're pushing connector, you can blow this door off, and what you can do is you can spam connector looking over this white sign, you're spamming down connector, they're going to be afraid to peek that in that scenario. You can also flash short if you want to get stuck beside this wall here, and you can look up here and just flash. It's a middle click flash. If you throw that flash for your teammate, he can peek here. That's going to blind anyone that is here in the lower tunnel. It's going to blind anyone that's hiding here, and it should blind anyone coming out of connector. So it's a very powerful flash that you can use to re-aggress on short on B. So a really handy one to know. Now, B is all about these kind of boost plays. So if you're boosting here, you want to be boosting behind the concrete so they can't spam you through this wall. Here, I see this boost done in pro play quite a bit, where your player is standing here and you're on top of his head and you're just spotting out connector and a little bit of short. They like to, the T side will try and boost here maybe. You want to be on the lookout for this. They can spot towards barrels and stuff like that, and monster, so you want to be careful of this boost also. Wall bangs on short are here. Anyone who's just hiding here, you can wallbang him out of it. As I have already said, you can wallbang towards connector here. I'll show you some handy utility now, because that's just your basic setup. And you have your rotator for when they call, oh, they're pushing A fountain long, or they're pushing connector to B, or they're stacked outside B or whatever. You have this basic setup to deal with these type of things. It's all about how you react to that information in that scenario. I'm not going to go over that. I'm going to go over what you can do as your default at the start of the round to help take space. So here's a piece of utility that you can throw towards T-ramp. Smoke here and a molly here. You see this in pro play quite a bit, so you're going to get stuck here. You're looking at this lamppost, the bar that comes off it. Anywhere here along here is good, so you're just jump throwing a smoke grenade here, and that will land in T-ramp and block them coming out straight away. They're gonna hesitate coming out through that, and they have to push the smoke to get out. Now this is kind of a play you want to do where you're stacking 3 on A and 2 B, because you want to have a long player and a fountain player and this guy throwing this utility for you, because when this happens, they're not going to push the smoke. Typically they're going to run to playground and they're going to try and push towards party and long. That's if they have committed to going A, right? So this is what you want to do. I'll show you this. You want to throw your smoke, and then you're coming down here and you're lining up along this line. You're going to be jump throwing here, and the line you're looking at, or the dot, is over here, right? As you can see, quite a powerful Molotov. They have to run through it and take ticks to get through it. This gives you information to your fountain player / your long player, because they will know, oh, they're after pushing into party. Your party player can hold the smoke exit. Another thing he could do while running up here is middle click, flash himself out here. This is very powerful, because if they're coming up T-ramp and they see this coming in, it's kind of hard to see because of the leaves of the tree. Powerful piece of utility to use. Your long player has pushed up through bathroom and he's come here, and he's going to hold them here at playground. They're going to be here because if they ran through the Molotov that fell, they will be half health minimum. So they will have path to the right here, so he wants to be peeking this area. He doesn't want to overextend himself, because anyone who's pushed the smoke could just flick onto him, even though your party players should be watching this. So that's what you want to be doing if you're aggressing towards A and you're trying to hold this area. After you've thrown that utility, you can come down and hold connector. You can flash yourself down here. You can just flash there and check it and just hold this area. Then you're going to have sound cues from short, etc. So it's going to be it's a very strong position to hold, because this is their rotations from site to site. You're trying to play for the information. So if you know, oh, there's one in short, there's one in connector, they must be hitting a B pop, you can get your long player maybe to fall back, go to B in heaven, and then you have 3 on B and you're ready for that B pop. It's about playing for that information. Now your utility that you're going to be throwing towards B is your rotator. Your B rotator will be throwing this smoke. So he'll be looking at this, standing beside the bin. He will jump throw, and that lands at the entrance of monster. If you do it quick enough, you beat the tease to monster with that smoke. Meanwhile, you'll have one player pathing like this. He's going to jump straight up into heaven here. Going to be looking at the B, crouch jump, straight into the water, no damage, molly monster. And if they're stacked behind that molly and they've pushed the smoke, you can just nade there. It's always a good idea to nade behind a Molotov, because they could just be waiting for this to extinguish. So good idea to nade behind any Molotovs that you're throwing. Your other B player is going to be pathing like this. He's going to be coming under here. He's going to be looking at these balconies. He's going to left click, throw a Molotov looking at the balcony. That's going to hold off any push into short on B. And from this point, what you can do is you can boost here. One can watch towards monster and one can be peeking short. While your heaven player, the B rotator, the AB rotator, is watching towards the monster. That's kind of what you want to be doing on a default. This is where you're supposed to be sending people. These are the positions that you should be playing. These are some handy boosts and pieces of utility to use. Other pieces of utility that are quite handy is if you're retaking on B or you're trying to help your B players hold B, you can flash like this. You're just anywhere loosey-goosey, just run throw. And what that does is it flashes monster exit for your teammate from barrels to peek. Because what'll happen here is I throw that grenade. You're not flashed here at barrels whatsoever. It pops above your head, flashes monster. It actually flashes short as well, as far as I know. So this is ideal. An ideal flash to be throwing to help your B players hold B if they're rushing it. Because that's going to flash above his head and he can peek short. Short is flashed, monster is flashed. It's a very strong flashbang to be throwing in support of your team members on B. That flashbang is very handy to help your B players from A. If you're still up on A, let's say you've thrown this utility and you say, oh, they say, oh, they're rushing B, they're rushing B, you're rushing B. You just run here, throw that flash, and you're pathing down to heaven to help them. That flash doesn't even get the heaven player if he plays towards the left hand side and he's watching short. He can peek out that sandbags player if he's after dodging it. Another piece of utility that's quite handy to know is flashes over pieces of the buildings here. So if you're in near divider here and you just run throw, that'll flash anyone who is in party. It'll flash anyone that's in fountain. And if you throw that flash for your long bathroom player to peek, he can take that fountains player out. If you throw two flashes, he could try and take party as well. These are all very useful flashes to be throwing in support of your teammates. Another piece of utility you can throw is if your B player that's supposed to be holding short does not have a Molotov, you can throw this smoke. You can get up on top of this air vent, look at the second in from the right piece of spire on this fencing, and just run throw. I like to look at the middle of it and just... That gives you a very deep tunnels Molotov that they have to wait or smoke out. In that case, if they smoke it off, they don't have a smoke to smoke heaven maybe, and maybe they don't have a smoke to enter onto site, etc. You're trading utility and you're making the T's make a decision whether they're going to waste a piece of utility or they're just going to push through it and take the damage or wait for it. So these are all things that you can be thinking of in your games. And if you're, let's say you have a player here in con and con is clear, you can flash your con player out in the same way as before. So you can go like this. He knows the flash is going to be coming in, so he can wait for that flash to pop, and that'll flash anyone that's holding there, which is a typical angle to hold connector from. Even if he pushes out behind it, that flash doesn't get him. So quite a powerful flash to be throwing to help your connector player exit. They are in short, you can smoke them off so that they're kind of blocked off. I'll smoke out your tunnel. And then that helps your connector player push out more safely, because if you throw that flash for him again, then he can peek there, he can peek here, he can peek here, he can peek here, he can peek here. You know what I'm saying? It's all about this team play on CT side. It's all about the team play. Talking about long, You can boost here. If you have an op on long, you can boost here. You know, you're going to miss your timings for mid and stuff, but it kind of depends on how you're set up on the round at that time, whether you stacked A or B or whatever. You might have 4A if maybe they're abusing A and you need to stack 4 here, so you can do a boost here, and then you can have you can run towards tree, and you can both fight with an op and a M4 or whatever here towards long, and you have a player here in bathroom and he's holding the connector while you have a player in connector. He can't get backstabbed, he's safe. You just have one player on B. Maybe he's playing in heaven and you guys play for retake on B. It all depends on how you want to play the round. It really does depend. That grenade I showed, where you're just, you know, just aiming generally over the wall here and you just run throw. You can do that to help your heaven player can do that to help your connector player clear connector, because I guarantee you this will get people flashed. Who's gonna see that coming? Like, do you know what I mean? Let's say you have a player in bathroom and he can hear them coming up past divider into banana. Your player can throw this flash for you and you can clear this area, because anyone that's pushing up banana here, where are they going to see this? That flash is coming out of absolutely nowhere. If you have an op on dice and someone throws that flash for you, peek off it, boom, that's an easy kill. Easy kill. That stops them aggressing towards A. It really helps you win the round. So this is how you need to play your overpass. On A, you're typically going to be either aggressively taking mid and connector, or you're going to be playing in a passive way where you're just peeking angles and you're just falling back, playing for time so your team can rotate. If you do this and you are playing in this passive way and you're baiting for time, you need to have short control. You need to have short control if you are going to be doing this, because your short player has to be able to take short and hold connector so they can't rotate straight down to B. The way I would recommend doing this is, again, just throwing this smoke into the tunnels. You can flash yourself out here and you can take short control. Be careful of this angle, and then you're just going to be holding connector for any information. Maybe you hear footsteps in connector and you say, oh, the other B player, go to heaven and hold it. Make sure no one comes out, creeps out, walks out monster. You can hold this connector exit. The heaven player has a grenade. He can throw a grenade towards here if the door is already blown off. This is quite a strong nade to throw. So anyone that exits the connector is going to land on their face. It's going to take about 40 damage off them with full armor. So there you have it. This is how you're going to stop them from rotating down to B if they're really playing really aggressive towards A. You need to, you can't just all rotate straight to A up here, because this is quite a hard retake to be doing. You need to have control. You need to be, as a CT side, you need to be trapping them into where they're pushing. You need to be literally making sure they can't be anywhere else but where you think they are. If you are retaking on A, say they're planting on the other side of the dice here, and you're like, okay, we gotta move, just jump throw here looking at the camera. That'll pop straight above your head. You can peek. That's going to blind nearly everybody on site. It's going to blind anyone holding truck long. It's going to blind anyone here at headshot. This is where you need to path first. Let's say they have it smoked. You throw that flash. You need to path this way first. So if you're doing it as a team, you need to have one player pushing straight here towards this kill. Then your bank player is going to be looking towards the truck here, and he's going to be clearing towards bathroom, and he's going to be clearing towards long. If you have utility left over, you can, you can trade kills here in this scenario. And if you want to stop them from planting the bomb, you want to stand in this corner beside this box of graffiti, literally graffiti cans, and you're just going to be aiming towards these power lines above the trash can, and you're just left click throw, and that's going to molly off dice where they're going to be planting. You can also do this with a grenade. If that's all you have left, you can just Kobe.
Grenade out.
It's quite a powerful piece of utility to know if they have already taken site and you want to slow down the def. I think that's all you need for a basic this is what you need to do default on this map. Guys, thanks very much for watching. This video was helpful for you, and in the future enjoy your overpass games with these pieces of utility and this default setup. Until the next time, take it easy.